To suggest Liverpool were robbed at the Etihad, I think, is a bit of a stretch, because that would suggest that they would have gone on to at least get a point from the game, maybe even win the game. And I'm unconvinced by that. I think had Van Dijk's goal stood and it went 1-1, Manchester City might have gone on to win the game anyway, because Liverpool were not great. Man City were good. They deserved to take the lead. They deserved to score a second goal, and they deserved to win the game. But goals change games no matter when they're scored, and had that goal stood and made it 1-1 just before half time, maybe they would have went in 1-1 at the break. Maybe they would have come out and played better in the second half. Liverpool did play better in the second half, but it was 2-0 at half time. So whilst I won't agree that I think Liverpool would have avoided defeat had that goal stood, because my prediction would have been City to go on and win the game anyway, but it's just that, a prediction. I don't know. But what I do know, and where I do think Liverpool were robbed, they were robbed of a goal. They were robbed of an equaliser. How that goal has been ruled out, I do not know. There's plenty examples you can find in the Premier League where that exact situation has happened and the goal has stood. The one doing the rounds in a minute, of course, is Manchester City away to Wolves last season, where Bernardo Silva is in front of the goalkeeper and he's getting out of the way and he ducks and it goes in. But the goal stood, and it's should have stood, because he wasn't interfering with the goalkeeper at all. He wasn't in the way of the goalkeeper. Just like Andy Robertson yesterday at the Etihad. Donnarumma can see the ball. He's got a clear line of sight to Van Dijk. Robertson is the opposite side of Donnarumma. I ain't having that. That, in my opinion, was a very incorrect call to disallow that goal yesterday. It should have went 1-1 and we would have had a completely different game on our hands. So Liverpool, I think, were robbed of an equaliser. And the other thing I'm unsure of from this game, there's a few things I am sure of. Doku, for example, wow, what a fantastic performance. He's been really good this season. I think Doku's becoming one of the best wingers around. Certainly in the Premier League, he's one of the best wingers already. But I feel like he's really developed his game compared to last season. I feel like last season he was someone that was almost fur coating, no knickers. He was brilliant at dribbling. He was taking players on, but he was just making the wrong decisions in the final third. His end ball just wasn't there. But the part before it was fantastic. And I feel like he's really brushed up his skills in that area. I feel like his delivery's got better. The goal yesterday was fantastic. I think his decision making's got better. I think he's really improved from last season. Doku was fantastic yesterday against Liverpool. But here's the other thing I don't like, and I don't know how true this is. I don't know if I may be just misreading this. But that decision to give the penalty, I'm not convinced the referee knew. He got sent to the monitor, and the replay he was watching was stuttering. You could see Doku go in the box. You see him go down. But the bit you're missing on VAR was the contact. Kanate was in the way because it was jumpy. It wasn't a smooth replay. Now, I've seen the replay without the stuttering, and I think it is a penalty. I think the contact is there on Doku. So I have no issues with the penalty as such. But what I do have an issue with is I feel like the referee decided to award the penalty without having evidence on the screen. He had something I think was actually hinting there was contact, and he was being told there was contact, but he couldn't actually see it himself because it was jumpy. And he only had one angle, and he decided I'll just give it anyway. When that penalty was given to Manchester City, I don't think the referee on the pitch made the call. I think it was Michael Oliver, who was the VAR referee. I think he made the call. And then he was the one that got involved for the offside as well. At half-time, it was 2-0 Man City. They were playing good football, right? None of this is anti-City, because it's not. It's anti-referee. I feel at half-time, I just watched a half of football that was refereed by someone that wasn't on the pitch. And I don't like that at all. But deserved win for Man City. Liverpool, there was a slight improvement after half-time. But they were running out of steam, running out of energy, running out of idea pretty quickly as well. A good defensive performance from City, not good from Liverpool. Back to the drawing board. What was working for them as they got a couple of wins stopped working for them pretty quickly at the Etihad as well. Good wins for City. Moving on to Sunderland drawing 2-2 with Arsenal. I did a video yesterday and just want to say thank you to Sunderland fans. There's a few of you That video's got 6,000 views, which is incredible for me, right? There's 6,000 subscribers. Now, not everyone watched it as a subscriber. Hopefully, some of them have stuck around. But that's incredible. Normally, you get less views than subscribers, right? That's usually the way the ratio works. So when you get more views than you've got subscribers, it's a fantastic feeling. So I just want to say thank you, mainly to Sunderland fans, but anyone that watched that video yesterday. But I'm not going to cover this game too much because of said video. But what I will say, it was a fantastic game of football. I absolutely loved it. I was gripped. I didn't want the full-time whistle to go. And I think if there was another 5 minutes, I think one of them would have nicked it. Probably Arsenal, but you just never know, do you? Sunderland are having a fantastic season. Arsenal will be disappointed. They'll see his 2 points dropped. Of course they will. They conceded an equaliser in stoppage time. I don't think that's a bad result for them. It'll feel like a bad result for them right now. I don't think it is. They've been incredible up until now. But it just came up against a really well-organised Sunderland team who've got confidence. They're still unbeaten at the Stadium of Light. It's fantastic for the Black Cats fans. But I just want to say thank you for that video. Moving on to the Aston Villa win over Bournemouth. I am for clarity, transparency. I've watched the City game, I watched the Sunderland game, and I watched the Aston Villa game yesterday because West Ham played Bournemouth after international break, and then not long after that we play Aston Villa. So I thought this makes sense to watch this game, our upcoming opponents, for when I create content around those games. Villa were good. A couple of players in particular I thought were really good. Buendia I thought was absolutely fantastic. That free kick, mwah! Oh, I loved it. As soon as he hit it, you just knew it was going in. He knew it was going in. Good to see Morgan Rogers' influence in the game. Again, very unlucky not to get awarded an assist for the second goal. I know it comes off the defender's toe, but great play for him to nutmeg the defender, go round him and lay it back to his teammate as well. I feel like he had a really difficult start to the season, and I feel like he's starting to get into form a little bit now, so that'll benefit Villa going forward. I feel like this was an important win for them because even though it's been a while since they went 4 or 5 games without scoring a goal, it doesn't feel like it, does it? But then when you look at it, I guess that's half the league table. But Villa are picking up important wins at the minute, and they're getting some really good performances out of their players as well, and it feels like Emery's Aston Villa. It didn't feel like that at the start of the season, whether it was because of the transfer window. I don't know, it just felt stale at Villa at the start of the season. I think they've blown away the cobwebs now, though, and it's like Villa from what we're used to under Unai Emery. As for Bournemouth, they looked tired. I thought in the second half, they looked tired. A lot of them. Semenyo didn't have his impact on his game. Kluivert, Tavernier, Evan Nielsen up front. None of them were really at it in midfield. Scott and Adams just looked fatigued. Even when you made changes, and Christie, come on, he also looked tired as well. I don't know, it was a very flat performance from Bournemouth. Not something I would usually associate with them. And in the end, Barkley scored, Malin scored. If anyone's not seen it, Tielemans takes a shot and just hits Malin on the heel and goes in. So it's his goal, Tielemans' shot. Now, for clarity, I didn't watch the last 20 minutes of this game. I turned over at 2-0 because I thought the game's done. And it was. It finished 4-0. It was over long before that. It was over way before that. Villa were in complete control. A real dominant performance from Villa, in my opinion. Nottingham Forest 3, Leeds 1. I only seen the last 20 minutes. This is the game I switched over to because at that point it was 2-1 Nottingham Forest. And I thought, oh, this game might be a little bit better. So I flicked over to watch this one. Huge win. Huge win for Nottingham Forest, but also a huge defeat for Leeds United and possibly for Farke as well. Pressure is really on him. I think this was a must-not-lose game for Leeds. Just keep your distance from Nottingham Forest, and they'll be looking at West Ham winning as well. Because I think if you're a Leeds fan, you're possibly looking at Wolves, and then you're looking at other teams as to who's going to go down, and you'd probably fancy yourselves to finish up with Burnley. So when you see West Ham and obviously Nottingham Forest beating and picking up points, they're probably the teams they fear the most out of the bottom 3. I could be wrong on that one. That's just my prediction. Now, I didn't see, obviously, the first 70 minutes, but the bit I did see, bearing in mind Leeds were a goal down, they're just no threat. There's just no creativity, no threat. A couple of crosses, Calvert-Lewin got on the end of 1 or 2. Very, very little. Then Farke sub just killed them, really, by bringing Harrison on. Hutchinson changed the game. I don't know. I didn't watch it. Had a real impact on the game anyway. That cross for Gibbs White is lovely. I like a cross like that. When the striker or attacker, all he's got to do is just get a glancing touch on it. what a brilliant cross that is. I love a good assist. If you don't know, you'll come to know. I love a good assist. Something that's just bang, there you go, teammate. Just pop it in the back of the net. I've done all the work for you. Just pop it in the back of the net. And there was an element of that. And then he skins Haderson, gets brought down. Elliot Anderson scored, nearly smiled. I don't think I've ever seen that guy smile. He doesn't smile. Elliot Anderson just doesn't. You know, sometimes players will... I mean, Van Dijk was smiling after deflecting it past his goalkeeper. But some players, if they get brought down or they give away a foul, they'll have a cheeky smile. Anderson just never. He just looks serious constantly. He looks like he wants to beat someone up for the entire 90 minutes. And when he scored, I thought he didn't celebrate. There's very little. I don't know. That guy's just got... He should play poker. He's got the face for poker, Elliot Anderson. I'm telling you that. It's impossible to read him. Big win for Nottingham Forest, though. Their fans will feel relieved. They needed to get 3 points. And when they went a goal down, when it came through on my phone that Leeds were gone 1-0 up, I thought, well, hello. This is changing things down the bottom. Finished 3-1. Don't know. Leeds. Don't know. I'm not getting good vibes. I feel like there's a difficult decision to make now about Farke. Do you stick with him? Because this is the last ideal time to change your manager, I think, because of the international break. Big calls. Anyway, hopefully an easy call for you. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, and also please do drop a like on the video as well. All support is much appreciated here on Tartan. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has subscribed thus far. But let's continue chatting about the action from the Premier League. It finished Spurs 2, Man U 2. I watched about an hour, 70 minutes of this game, then I'd go do my West Ham videos. I missed it. I seen 1 goal. I missed the other 3. I got the boring bit. Boring Tottenham. I appreciate someone's going to say you should probably just rename your channel to Boring Tottenham. It's all you keep saying. But they keep being boring. It's not my fault. Well, it is. I don't have to keep saying Boring Tottenham. It's getting a bit boring, isn't it? But they're boring. They didn't have a shot on target until the second half against Man U. Now, Man U are in good form. Don't get me wrong. But it feels... false is harsh. Unreliable is maybe the right thing. I feel like their form is better than them, if that makes sense. And it's the same for Spurs. You look at them at the league table, you think, what's the problem? Look where they are in the league. They're doing all right. And I guess they are, but it's just boring. Anyway, decent enough goal from Mbeumo. Good cross by Diallo. Nice little header. Tal came on, deflection, got his goal. Richarlison stripped off, thought he scored the winner, ran off, celebrating. A lot of emotion from him. And then Daly with a really good header at the back post as well. I think it's an okay result for both teams. I think drawing at home to Man U and drawing away to Spurs, I think that's fine for both teams. It keeps them where they are in the league. Tottenham in the top 4, Man U in the top 8. I think. But that's where they're going to want to be at the end of the season. I think if you offered Man U 6 or 7 before the start of the season, maybe they would have taken it. You offered Spurs top 4, I think they would have taken it. I would suggest both things are good for those clubs and where they were in the summer. So the result itself is fine. The performance from what I've seen was good from Man U, just not good from Spurs. And it's just another game where you move on to the next one thinking... the 12th game of the season. When are things going to click? Are things going to click? Because it just feels a bit boring. Chelsea 3, Wolves 0. I did watch this game. Wolves, I mean, a bit easy in the end for Chelsea, weren't it? It was just a matter of time till they scored. Just didn't score in the first half, but Fernandes had a couple of good efforts at goal. Johnson made a couple of good saves. Maybe saves you'd expect him to make, but Chelsea by far the better team, just moving the ball about, and it was just a case of when are they going to score, who's going to score. The win was never in doubt. There wasn't even like an improved performance from Wolves, I don't think. He went back to Gomez and Andre in midfield, might have helped a little bit. But the same problems before sacking Pereira were still there, which is unsurprising. Collins looked pissed off on the touchline, which is also unsurprising, because it was just a weak performance from his team. Really, really weak. Here's I say fact, it's not, it's my opinion. Here's my opinion, which I would suggest it is factual, depending what you think of XG. I'd imagine if you're okay with XG, it becomes a fact, right? Wolves' best chance, which was for Munetsi, was created by Cucurella. Their best chance of the game was created by a Chelsea player. And he still lashed it wide. It wasn't the worst effort in the world, but he certainly didn't take advantage of it. And I think Wolves were lucky it took so long for Chelsea to open the scoring with Gusto. Who, by the way, how was that his first goal for Chelsea? When he said that, first goal for Chelsea in 95 games, I thought, okay, I know he's not like a prolific goal scorer or nothing. I just assumed he'd already scored for them before, considering he's quite an attacking right back, isn't he? Sometimes he even gets played like central midfield. He gets forward a lot. So I was thinking, I just assumed he'd maybe got 1 or 2 already for them. So that was a bit of a surprise, but he scored. And then Pedro scored, and then Neto scored. Great assist by Garnacho. And I think Wolves are just lucky it took them so long, because had they scored 10, 15 minutes earlier, I think this game would have ended up 4-5. Wolves had given up by the end of it. And Chelsea hadn't, because they've just brought on players like Guiu and Estavo. Is that how you say his name? I feel like that's not how you say his name. But anyway, they came on, and you could tell they're eager to make an impression. They want to get involved. They want to get goals because they've been on the bench and they want to get into the first team. So I think Wolves were lucky. It was only 3 in the end, but a pathetic performance. However, I think the board had written this game off. They decided, scrap the Chelsea away. Let's go get the guy in, who's obviously going to be Rob Edwards. And let's go again after international breaks. But 2 points from 11 games. My team won a game. We won 2 games of football. We beat Newcastle, and then we followed it up with a win against Burnley. In 2025, for the calendar year, before we played Newcastle, we'd won 2 games at home all year. We've just won 2 games in the last 2 weeks. We've doubled our tally. Still in the bottom 3 though. But it's a huge win for us and a big blow for Burnley, because when I spoke to a Burnley fan before the game about confidence of staying up, and a large part of his argument, which was legit, was, well, we beat Leeds, we beat Wolves, we drew against Nottingham Forest, we're winning the games against teams around us. That's fine, that's a solid argument. Well, you just lost one, now what? A huge win for us, and Parker was right. I think he said that they end up playing the way we wanted to play in the second half. I agree with him. I think Burnley were the better team in the first half. We were lucky to go level. I say they were better, they weren't much better. I think a draw, I wouldn't have, in terms of the balance of the game, I wouldn't have complained if it was a draw. I would have said it's probably the fair result, but we won, and that's important. Callum Wilson scoring a real striker's goal. Cullen was really good for Burnley, I thought, in the second half in particular. Souček off the bench, scoring again. Our very false number 9, 2 goals and 2 off the bench for him. But I was relieved. I was buzzing after the Newcastle win, and I didn't quite have the same level of excitement or buzz after Burnley, because I don't think our performance was as strong. It was more relief that we'd won that game. We've got a tough run coming up after the international break, but fingers crossed. Everton beat Fulham. I mean, Everton looked like they could have won this game 5-0. It was 2-0, 3 disallowed goals. I feel a little bit sorry for Barry, because he's had a bit of a stinky time at Everton. Let's be real. He's had it really stinky. Missed an absolute sitter against Sunderland as well. So his confidence must be on the floor. And he gets a tap in, pops in the back of the net, offside, and it was offside, but I just felt a little bit sorry for him, because he just looked like, when you're a striker, you need, I keep saying on here, you need that goal quick. If you're an attacking midfielder, you want to get a goal, and it says you need to get off the mark quick, and as soon as you do, the pressure's off, right? The pressure to get your second one is nowhere near as much as it is to get your first one. There's a reason people are talking about Alanga and Wirtz about how they haven't done anything, because they haven't got their first one yet. As soon as you've got one, you almost like the crosshairs get moved away from you. So there they go. Oh, offside. And then Tarkowski, bang, offside. It felt a bit sorry for Everton. I only seen the highlights of this game, but it looked like one-way traffic. It looked like a very deserved win for Everton in the end. And Fulham, what's going on? I used the word stale about Aston Villa earlier. They look stale. It was the highlights. The highlights are highlights. It's the good parts, right? It's the bit where you look good. It was a highlights reel, and they looked bad. That's almost impressive. Well, unless you're a Fulham fan, it's probably quite worrying. We're going to have a conversation about Fulham during the international break. Brentford beat Newcastle 3-1. We might need to have a conversation about Newcastle as well, because things just don't feel right, do they? This does not feel like Eddie Howe's Newcastle. I know they're trotting out the stats. It's the worst start Newcastle made under Andy Howe. I don't feel like he's been there long enough to do that. Do you know what I mean? I think you've got to be at a club for like 8 years or something before you can start saying it's the worst start they've ever had. He's only been there a handful of years, so it's what, their worst start in 4 years. It's not the end of the world, is it? Worst start in 8 years. Now that's something. Anyway, terrible. But the commentator, right? The commentator deserves a round of applause because he said a line, it was fantastic. Utara, this was the one that they got the penalty. Utara ran past his man. I'm hoping you know who the man was. It's important. So Utara ran past his man and got taken down. And the commentator said, Utara with pace to burn. Oh, I loved it. I got credit where it's due. I'll give managers credit. I'll give players credit. And sometimes you just got to give a commentator a little bit of credit. Oh, I love fantastic. 10 out of 10. 10 from Gio. Doesn't rhyme, does it? Anyone called Len here? Len's over there. 10 from Len. There you go. In regards to this, right, the first one, he went down. I thought it was Burn got lucky, right? So he's done a booking, and then Utara goes down. Referee gives a free kick against him for diving, books him, they check it. Yeah. But there's contact there. I think it's divey. I think he goes OTT with it. I think he makes the most out of it. Burn, that was a look of a guilty man. I think as a referee, right, sometimes body language and reactions must tell you a lot. And when the guy supposedly tripping the other one looks guilty as sin, it's probably a bit of a clue that he's done something. So I think Utara was unfortunate to get booked. I think it's nothing, right? I think if you give the pen, it stands. If you don't give the pen, it doesn't get overturned. I think there's minimal contact. I don't think it's a dive, though. Because I think it's divey. I think he's just over-exaggerating, and that's a silly thing to do. But it's one of them, if he doesn't do it, if he just stumbles, he doesn't get a pen, so he kind of has to dive. This is where, I don't know, sometimes officials encourage diving a little bit by things like that. Now, there was a worse example going to. The second one, though, Stonewall pen. Burn knew it. Burn knew he's going to get sent off. Thiago, I love him even more. Not just because he's in my fantasy league team. I'm doing crap on that. It's not even like I'm doing good on fantasy league. I'm like, hey, look at me. I'm doing crap. I transferred in Gabriel this week. Sunderland fans, you owe me one. I transferred him in and they conceded 2. What's that about? They conceded like 1 shot on target in a month. I bring in an extra Arsenal defender and they concede 2 goals. Welcome to Gio playing FPL. Anyway, Thiago, he bucks that trend. He bang, couple of goals. Could have maybe got a hat-trick as well. I like him. Proper striker. Do you know what I mean? Proper striker. Brentford, good win. Because whilst they look like they'll be fine, they're not going to get relegated, you can always only be a bad month away from getting sucked in there. So it's important they just keep getting points here and there, staying away from the relegation battle, and they're looking good at the minute, Brentford. Whereas Newcastle look stinky, look really, really stinky. Just not clicking. Yolinton's constantly injured or looking injured or whatever, still getting played. Obviously, he went off it early. Gordon was out, which was good because Barnes came in and scored. Elanga's still doing nothing. Don't know, it just doesn't feel right at Newcastle, does it? It just feels, I don't know, something. I can't put my finger on it. Any Newcastle fans watching this, let me know what your thoughts in the comments. And finishing up at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace 0, Brighton 0. Now that was a dive. Router, dive, massive dive. When I've seen the highlights or the lowlights, perhaps is more a better way of describing this game. I'm pleased to see he got booked for that. I don't like stuff like that. When an attacker kicks a defender and goes down, I hate it. And I think, what are you doing? Right? In this day and age of VAR, why are you doing that? Because even if you gave it, it would get overturned. It's a very stupid thing to do. If I'm his manager, I don't know what I'm doing. He's quite a big guy, so I'm not assaulting him. He'll batter me. I'm dropping him the next game and I'm making a point of it. I'm saying, they'll say, where's Rutter? I'll say, he dived last week. I ain't having that. So he's on the bench this week. I don't like stuff like that. I'd make a point. I'd distance myself from his cheating. I'd say, whoa. But this game felt like a lot of half chances, but wrong decisions when it came to that half chance. Kamada had one. Minta had one. There was a Sarr, there was a few players ended up in half decent position. Maybe the better option would have been to pass their teammate, and they took the shot on. It was an awful effort, but 0-0, not the worst result in the world. I think both teams would have taken a point if you offered them it before the game. Just didn't really look like an entertaining game, that's all. Anyway, there you go. That's my review of the Premier League. Liverpool, wouldn't say they were scammed, but that referee, I'm not sure he was really refereeing that game, and that's the worrying thing. That's the biggest talking point for me coming away this weekend from that match at the Etihad in particular. Thank you very much for joining me. If you've made it to the end, you must have enjoyed it a little bit, or you just can't change the video. But regardless, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Sky me, Tartan. Catch you in a bit.